Welcome everybody, Jericho here. I'm going to do a quick tutorial and informational video on bankroll management. I know a lot of people have been asking for it. We've had a rough stretch as of late, and I think that is a great time to implement my strategy on bankroll management. I know a lot of people, especially the new subscribers that joined, have been a little disgruntled because they're losing their money, and I don't think you truly understand the system and how you play the probabilities to win over the course of a season. No other provider out there is going to show you how to manage your bankroll. Nobody cares. Nobody out there is going to answer all the questions that you shoot their way. I do my best, and keep in mind there's over 200 of you guys. I do my best to answer every single question on a daily basis, and that's why I'm doing this tutorial. I've had a lot of requests for it. Managing your bankroll is a very challenging thing. It's really what separates professional DFS players from casual DFS players. And it's similar to poker. If anybody has ever played poker, you have to remain consistent. You have to play the probabilities, and you have to bet smartly. If you don't, you're going to lose your entire stack and end up going home pissed off. Real quick, let's talk about the difference between cash games and GPPs or tournaments. A GPP is essentially the same thing as a tournament. What GPP stands for is guaranteed prize pool. And a guaranteed prize pool essentially states that if the tournament or the event does not fill completely, the prize pool is guaranteed, just like it says. So FanDuel will eat the cost if one of those tournaments doesn't fill completely. They will eat the difference into, let's say they're 100 players short. They will pay for 100 players that aren't really there. And so if you can ever find a tournament that's not full right next to locks, 10 to 20 seconds before locks, you want to enter that because it improves your statistical advantage. Cash games, I break them down into three categories. You have double ups, you have 50-50s, and you have head-to-heads. Cash games are essentially where you have 50-50 odds going in, and they are what my cash game lineup is made for. So let's talk about the different lineups that I have and how to enter them and how much of your bankroll you should spend on a given night, and let's dive right in. Let's say, for example, your bankroll is $1,000. You never want to wager more than 10% of your bankroll on a given night. The reasoning for that is if you lose 4 in a row, which I'm okay with admitting that we did earlier this week, it basically makes it to where you don't lose such a big chunk of your bankroll that you can continue to wager and continue to make money and continue to play the probabilities. So if you have $1,000 and you bet 10% of your bankroll every night, that's $100 a night. You lose 4 straight, you're down to $600. So you're betting $60 per night. Obviously, it takes a chunk if you lose that many in a row, but when you go on a streak like I did prior to this week, where you win 14 of 16, you make all of that money back and then some, because as your bankroll increases, your wagering increases, and your probabilities always balance out in the end. I'm at 80% on the season, and I think if you play this system and you play it right and you listen to my instructions, we're all going to make a lot more money than some of you have been as of late. Obviously, during the 14 of 16 streak, everybody won no matter what because we were hitting everything. As of late, we haven't been hitting as much. We did win big a few nights ago, which was nice, but losing again tonight, I had some people that were upset, and I wanted to break down how I manage my bankroll so you guys can understand it completely and plug it into the way that you're playing. When it comes to the percentages that I enter into every single game type or cash game type, tournaments, etc., of that 10% that I'm wagering, so let's say it's $100, I'm going to enter 30% or $30 in head-to-heads. Now, when you are finding head-to-heads, you want to stay under the $5 range. Do not go up to $10. You will end up playing stronger competition up there in the $10 and higher range, and I don't recommend it. You want to find people that have less entries. So when you go to the head-to-head screen on the FanDuel website, there will be a multiplier by their name. And that's essentially how many times they have entered a head-to-head. So it'll say times 46. If somebody's entering 46 head-to-heads, they're probably a decent player. And you really don't want to match up with those guys on a consistent basis. There is a system to find newbies or to find people that don't do it for a living. And that system is to find the people that have only entered 4 head-to-heads or 5 head-to-heads. Or 1 head-to-head. That's essentially the best way to target head-to-heads, and I believe head-to-heads give you the best odds overall, and they can limit your losses. For example, I wagered $700 tonight, and instead of losing all $700 with a subpar lineup, I managed to save $125 on head-to-heads. So it doesn't sound like a lot, and it still sucks to lose $575, but over the course of a season, that really, really helps you maintain your money on a bad night. And I mean, no matter how bad our night is, there's always going to be a lot of people that are a lot worse. So you can always salvage a little bit of bankroll no matter what by entering that 30% in head-to-heads. You want to enter 40% in 50-50s, and you want to stay, again, $5 or lower on the 50-50s. And I recommend the 100-man leagues, not the 20-man leagues. I think the odds are better in the 100-man league. There's more variance. And that is typically the 50-50s that I try to target. So 70% of your bankroll overall, 70% of the 10% that you wager, so $70 if you're wagering $100, needs to be in 50-50s and head-to-heads. 15%, or $15 in this case, needs to be entered in double-ups. The odds on double-ups aren't quite as good, but you obviously don't have to pay that 20% to FanDuel that they take off of the winnings of everything else, like 50-50s or head-to-heads. So it's worth the risk of entering 15% of whatever you're wagering into double-ups. That puts you at 85%, so you have 15% left over. With that 15%, you want to split it up however you choose. This is completely up to you. Triple-ups, quintuple-ups, and tournaments. Now, if you have $15 to spend, I would recommend doing $8, probably $4 on $2 quintuple ups and $4 on $2 triple ups. And then the other $7, I would enter 7 different $1 entries in tournaments. That is the system that I would use if you had a bankroll of $1,000. And the percentages apply no matter how much you're wagering. I know some of you are starting with $50, and that's fine. But you need to wager $5 a night. And if that's not enough, I think you need to increase your bankroll. Because otherwise, you're going to find yourself wagering too much on a night that we lose, which happens. And then you'll be pissed off. And you'll have to make another deposit. And to really see the body of work, you have to play the probabilities, play the statistics, play the right way, be consistent. Otherwise, you're always going to lose money. The difference between professionals like myself and everyday casual players is bankroll management. And it's really that simple. I started with $50 when I got into daily fantasy. So you have to be smart. And if you don't ever want to make another deposit, you need to follow this system. And I believe that you will all yield a nice income when the end of the season rolls around. I think you'll see a really good return on investment. And the best part is you really don't have to spend that much time on it because I'm doing all the research for you. The service that I offer, I don't just throw together a lineup. I study day and night, and I give you the exact same lineup that I play. You guys see me wagering $700, $1,000 on any given night. And I wouldn't do that if I was sending out a shit product, because otherwise I would be broke. So everybody needs to follow this system, follow as closely as you can. I am always available to answer questions, as always. Again, there's over 200 of you guys right now and counting, so it may take me a little longer than it used to get to your questions, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to answer them. And I'm trying to make videos, informational videos and articles like this, so that way you guys don't have to wait on a response from me. You have all the information firsthand right here. You can pull it up anytime. You can take notes. I highly recommend taking notes and implementing the strategy moving forward. I really hope this helps everybody make a lot of money and withstand any future losing streaks that we might have. Fingers crossed, I hope we don't have any. But they do happen, and this is how you survive those. And when the winning streaks come around, this is how you maximize them. So I think that pretty much covers it. If anybody has any other questions, again, fire away. But I think this should cover all of our bases and should give you guys a good idea as to how I wager my money. And as always, before I sign off, I'm going to give the catchphrase, let's cash, bitches.